Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan. Today we get to try do a bit of a double feature here. Okay, I got a couple of samples sent in from Thrice in our Discord. Big shout out to Thrice, appreciate you, brother. But we've got the Found North Peregrine from 2024. This is a 21-year-old. Well, it's a blend of, I think it's between 21 and 25-year-old whiskeys. There's some rye in there. There's some corn whiskeys in there. Let me look at the derived mash bill here. Well, I'll do that in a sec. Next up is Obtanium's Light Whiskey. Okay, this is a 14-year-old. It's 147 proof. Like, are you kidding me right now? 147 proof. This is the thing about light whiskey as a category is I feel like they need to rebrand the category, because when you hear light whiskey, what do you think? Like, when you think of other beverages out there, like, this is light Coke. You would think, oh, so low calories and less caffeine, right? It has less of a zing to it. You would imagine that light means like a light roast on coffee. You're thinking you're going to get a little less zip. That's not at all the case with light whiskey. So with light whiskey, usually what they're doing is they're aging it much longer, but in like used barrels that aren't like heavy chars and stuff like that. So they're getting a lot more age on it and a ton more proof. So I think they need to maybe rebrand that genre a bit, because I think the name is misleading. But either way, this is Obtanium Light Whiskey, 14 years old, 147 proof. So I'm going to pour these, let them open up. We'll try them, and we'll see if these are the kinds of things that maybe you'd be interested in picking up yourself. Because we're sort of entering that, I feel like as a whiskey community overall in America, we're sort of entering into this phase where we've seen a lot of ebbs and flows, where originally it was, I only want heritage distillery stuff with huge age statements, limited releases, allocated bottles. But now we're sort of like starting to branch out a little bit. We're like, what else is going on? I've had X number of bottles from this distillery. I'm ready to try something new. And a lot of people are branching out a bit, and they're finding some other distilleries out there that are really making juice that speaks to their palate individually. And I think that's great. And I've got plenty of distilleries like that for myself as well, where I'm like, listen, I love Kentucky bourbon, don't get me wrong, but this distillery over here is making stuff that I will buy every time, and I want it on my shelf at all times. So I'm going to try and help you find some of those things on our channel here. So big shout out to Thrice, appreciate you, brother. Let's pour these, let them open up, we'll talk about them, we'll taste them, and give you my full-blown review. All right, we're going to start with the Found North. So again, this is the most recent Peregrine blend. Now, the Kelvin collab actually won my finished bourbons blind, where I do this sort of series here on the channel where I say I've got a bottle of a certain category that I think is better than anything you've got on your shelf. We call it like beat my bottle usually. And my viewers said bet, and they sent in a bunch of samples. Did a full blind. Mine ended up coming in second place with that. I think we had like 12 submissions, so it went really far, obviously. But the Kelvin collab from Found North ended up taking the gold. That's the only time we've done that series where my bottle has lost in a blind. So for me personally, Found North tends to be hit or miss. Okay, Canadian whiskey in general for me is hit or miss. That one was a hit. So we'll see if this one follows suit. So Peregrine 2024, this is what they said. I could recite this from memory, but I would probably mess it up. So I'm just going to read this to you. It says, Peregrine 2024 began as a blend of 21 and 24-year-old rye, blended with 23, 24, and 25-year-old corn whiskey. The 24-year-old rye was a key component in the original blend. It provided a substantial foundation of spice without astringency, allowing us to lean heavily into the rest of the blend for texture and viscosity. And here's the point where I'm like, bruh. Just say what it is, because they get a little off the rails here. After 3 months of maturation in cognac and new American oak casks, all but one barrel were used to create the final blend. The resulting whiskey carries itself with elegance, dynamism, and a vigor while shirking the slow build. The hell does that even mean? Listen. When we talk about whiskey, we don't say to our friends, oh man, this bottle's great, dude. It carries itself with elegance and dynamism and vigor. That doesn't mean anything. We don't say, oh, I know what that tastes like now. Thank you very much. We say, dude, what the heck are you on about? And it shirks the slow build. Dude, what the heck does that even mean? Anyways, minor complaint there. But anyways, finished in cognac and new American oak casks. And the proof point on this comes in at 114.2. Boom, there you go. Peregrine 2024. They do this every year, so if this is good, then you'll know to look out for it this year. I think they only had like 3,300 bottles total from this blend, which in the grand scheme of things is not a ton. The nose has given me strong Canadian whiskey vibes. Okay, it's very bright, lots of like honeydew melon on the nose. Sorry if there's background noise, by the way. I've got my window open because it's currently like a really light drizzle out. And here in West Michigan in the springtime, when you get a light drizzle, you open up those windows, let that cool air come in. It smells really nice. Anyways, there's also like a sort of saltwater taffy vibe going on here. There's a local candy store that's like a 5-minute drive from my house. And they have probably like 50 different flavors of saltwater taffies there. And they give out free samples. Like you can literally walk down the line and just like, go to the next one. You know what I'm saying? It's a pretty good deal. This is giving me, I want to say I'm getting just a fuzz of like that artificial watermelon flavor on the nose, which I kind of like. Either way, it's pretty fruity. We're getting that melon kind of a vibe. Watermelon, honeydew melon. Not a lot of oak, but let's get in on it. Cheers. Yeah, it has this sort of sweetness to it. It's not like a confectionery sweetness. It makes me think of like rock candy. Remember when we were kids, we'd go to like the zoo. We're on vacation, our parents take us to some new zoo or some new theme park, and there's always the gift shop at the end on your way out. You've already seen what there is to see, but you're like, I need to have that rock candy because it looks incredible. And it was just sort of all right every time. This reminds me of rock candy. It's that kind of a sweetness. Like that real corn syrupy sweetness to it. But I'm also getting what I would think I sort of attribute with like an orange marmalade. Does that make sense? Sort of a citrus marmalade kind of a vibe going on with this on the palate. Honestly, it's not bad. Now, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure like the MSRP for this bottle, I want to say it's somewhere close to $200. Now, sound off in the comments if I'm off on that, but I'm pretty sure. I think it varies year to year. Either way, this is well into the 3 figures. Dude, it's starting to really come down out there. Do you hear it? Oh, it's so soothing. I love that. You know, the more I go back to it on the nose, the more I'm getting... It's really interesting because I don't expect this from a Canadian whiskey. But this blend is, over time, sort of letting this campfire smoke kind of a note come forward a little bit that I wasn't getting initially. It's there a little bit on the finish, but it's more an aromatic thing. That's not bad at all. I don't know if I'd be chomping at the bit to spend $200 on this bottle, but it's really tasty. You know, this is the kind of thing I think that is like we have sort of experience whiskeys that are an experience to taste. I think this falls into that category. If you're a collector, you like offbeat things that sort of color outside of the lines, this is a great bottle to add to your collection. Also, their branding's great. I think that their bottling looks really, it's really appealing on a shelf. Kind of stands out, jumps out. So I respect that as well. Let's move on to the light whiskey, Obtanium. This is 14 years old, 147 proof. So your boy is not driving anytime soon. Holy cow, dude. The nose doesn't give me, it doesn't punch me in the nose, but it smells. Hang on. Always want to be kind and find the good in things. But coming off the nose of the Peregrine, which I thought had some great honey and melon notes and a little bit of that campfire, this one is leaning much more heavily into the chemical side of things. The more I sit with this a bit on the nose, the more I get like this baklava note. You ever had baklava? I had a lot of baklava growing up. I grew up in a missionary family. A lot of you guys who are in our Discord and you've been in, we like to share stories with each other in our Discord, and especially when we do our tasting events. But so you may know this about me already. I grew up in a missionary family. I had, when I was a kid, my parents were not out on the mission field. Right, they stayed local. My dad was like a biologist. He worked in the lab at the local hospital. So I grew up with a hospital parking garage in my backyard. I would walk out my back door with a tennis racket, and I would hit a tennis ball against a 4-story concrete slab. That was the wall of the parking garage. That was my backyard. But all of my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my grandparents, out in the mission field, right? So they would all come back on furlough, is what we call it when you're like, you're done with your work, you're coming back to the United States to sort of save up some money to go out again and maybe plant a new church or whatever. So they would come back on furlough, and we'd have all my family members coming back from like Bolivia, Russia, Indonesia, New Zealand, the Philippines, all over the place. A lot of Eastern European countries as well. And so they'd come back, and you'd always like cook a dish. As we'd get together, a lot of them would cook dishes that were from the area that they had just been at for a while. So we had lots of curries, but for desserts, those Eastern European countries, they would start making baklava. And so I had lots of baklava growing up. This has given me some baklava notes on the nose. We get a little bit of that, like, I want to say it's like phyllo dough, right? That flaky pastry dough. But there's a lot of like honey and nuts as well on the nose of this. And it took a second to get underneath the chemicals to find that, but once I found it, I kind of latched onto it, and I like it. Well, let's try it. Cheers. Okay, that's so much better on the palate than it was on the nose. It's not even close. The palate is like an explosion of, it kind of makes me think of Honey Nut Cheerios. Honey and nut. A little bit of like this grain note as well. Holy God, it's super thick and sticky in there, which is sort of baklava-like, right? Bro, that's like baklava the sip. And I can see there's thick runs coming down. Well, obviously it's like 147 proof, is that what we said? Yeah, 147. Makes sense it would be thick and viscous. It almost has the thickness of a mead. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can see that on the glass itself. See those thick runs coming down the side, really oily and viscous. I gotta say, the nose was misleading. I mean, we got some of those same notes on the nose, didn't we? But the nose was, kind of had to get underneath the chemical notes to get to those sweet baklava notes. But the palate is not like that at all. It just punches you straight in the mouth. Here's some thick honey. Like it. And it's like, okay, I do like it. I think ultimately I like the nose of the Peregrine better, but I like the palate of this Obtanium rye better. Wow, that's wild. Thank you so much, Thrice, for sharing these with me. And I want to say the Obtanium's like, what is this, only like a $70 bottle? 70 for a 14-year-old? I could be wrong about that. Again, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But what I was seeing online was this was listed for 70 bucks. And if that's true, 14-year-old, 147 proof, it almost sounds too good to be true. Let me double check that again. Yeah, this is saying $70. Multiple different sites here listing it as $70. So I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I liked both of these sips today, but if someone said you have to buy one of these right now, which one are you buying? It's the Obtanium at 147 proof. Now, obviously, this is going to probably, I'll be on that couch in a minute, passed out. Either way, if I had to pick one, it's going to be the Obtanium every time. I like this a little bit more. Not a lot, a bit more. A little bit more, and it's like less than half the price. So that's sort of a winning combination there for me. Hey, thank you so much for sending these samples in. I appreciate you, Thrice. Very kind of you. If you're not involved in our tasting event that we got going on this week, like a virtual bottle share, really excited about that. If you are in it, cool. Looking forward to it. It's like Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be grouping up in the Discord and doing that. If you are a Patreon member and you're not in it, but you just want to like tune in, you're more than welcome to hop in the Discord and do that. That's fine too. Otherwise, hey, if you want to get involved in our community, do stuff like that, be involved in stuff like that, you're more than welcome to check out our Discord. It's totally free to join. The link is in the description of this video. If you decide, you know what, I kind of like these dudes. They're pretty cool dudes. Well, not all of us are dudes. We got a few gals in there too. They're really nice. But if you decide, you know, I like these people, you can join the Patreon group for as little as $1. It's like basically free. And then get involved in some of the things that we do. So anyways, hop in there and introduce yourself. We'd love to meet you. Share your collection with us. If you're brand new, that's fine too. If you're like, I've been into whiskey for exactly 48 hours, that's great. We love that actually. And so a lot of our members are pretty experienced, more so than I am. Pretty experienced whiskey collectors. They've been into it for much longer than I have. But they are very generous people. They're happy to help answer any questions that you've got. And yeah, so use that as a resource. That being said, thank you so much for tuning into the video today. If you enjoyed it, and then let me know. by leaving a like on the video, because that's the best free way to support the content right here on YouTube. And consider subscribing for additional whiskey content. Cheers, my friends. May you live richly and get better with age. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.